Do you remember the first time a quick, satisfying meal felt like a moment of pure local magic? Before global chains dominated every corner, Canada's fast food scene was a vibrant, delicious mosaic of homegrown originals. But the ruthless, ever-changing landscape of quick-service dining waits for no one. Prepare your taste buds for a bittersweet journey. We're not just reminiscing about forgotten fries and faded logos, we're giving a final, mouth-watering eulogy to the true Canadian quick-service heroes. Frank Vetere's Pizzeria, founded in 1972 by Frank Vetere, was a sophisticated regional icon famous primarily in the Greater Toronto Area, GTA, occupying a slightly more upscale position than a typical pizza parlor but remaining family-friendly. Its true specialty was what set it apart. Frank Vetere specialized in Chicago-style deep dish pizza, a hearty, high-sided, and toppings-heavy style that was a distinct and weighty alternative to the thin crust and Italian-American fare prevalent at the time. The dedication to this style was so complete that the company even trademarked the name deep dish pizza in Canada for a time, staking its claim on the niche market. The atmosphere of Frank Vetere's was warmer and more artistic than the folksy decor of Mother's, featuring dark wood, patterned wallpaper, and quirky interiors that mixed red and green shutters with carnival mirrors, creating a memorable, sophisticated family setting. Despite its unique product and strong regional popularity, the company suffered from a period of rapid, uncontrolled expansion to over 40 locations in the 1970s, which stretched its operational and financial capabilities. When the 1982 recession hit, the resulting strain on decentralized management and cash flow led to the owners, FoodX Inc., eventually selling the vast majority of the locations to Pizza Hut. Pizza Hut, recognizing the market value of the product, strategically adopted a deep dish pizza offering into its own menu almost immediately, a common corporate maneuver known as acquiring market share through asset purchase. This move effectively absorbed its competitor's successful product and customer base, which hastened the complete end of the Frank Vetere's brand, leaving only the nostalgic memory of its trademark crust. Bunsmaster was a beloved regional fast-service bakery chain, prominent in suburban strip malls throughout Ontario during the 1970s and 1980s, specializing in freshly baked goods like rolls, buns, and sweet pastries, fulfilling a specific niche for take-home family meals. The customer experience was defined by the sensory promise of its product, the irresistible, powerful aroma of fresh yeast and sugar that literally wafted from the stores into suburban strip mall parking lots, acting as the single biggest impulse purchase driver. Its lasting legacy also includes the catchy, often parodied advertising jingle, "Buns, buns, buns, Bunsmaster," a simple, memorable tune that cemented its place in Canadian nostalgia. The chain was a classic victim of the changing convenience food landscape that prioritized speed and product bundling over specialization. Bunsmaster's specialized focus on fresh bakery items, while high quality, made it vulnerable as consumers' priorities shifted. It was gradually but inevitably crushed by the rapid, ubiquitous expansion of chains like Tim Hortons and Country Style, which successfully bundled high-volume, low-cost coffee, donuts, and quick, standardized service into a single, comprehensive, convenience-driven model. Consumers increasingly preferred the one-stop grab-and-go model for their morning coffee and evening treats, rather than making a separate stop for a dinner roll. Bunsmaster's lack of a strong beverage program and, crucially, its lack of drive-through capability ultimately made it an inefficient outlier, leading to its slow disappearance from retail plazas. Chi-Chi's was an American Tex-Mex casual dining chain that made a significant mark on the Canadian culinary scene in the 1980s, popularizing Mexican-inspired food beyond simple tacos. The dining experience was vibrant, loud and focused on celebration, defined by endless chips and salsa, the dramatic novelty of sizzling fajitas brought to the table on cast-iron skillets with a huge cloud of steam and accompanying noise, and the fun dessert of fried ice cream. Chi-Chi's essentially introduced a generation of Canadian families to Tex-Mex cuisine as a celebratory casual dining option. Though the chain was already struggling financially, with its parent company in Chapter 11 bankruptcy in the early 2000s, the ultimate disaster was not financial, but biological and immediate. In October 2003, a single Chi-Chi's restaurant in Monica, Pennsylvania, was identified as the source of the largest hepatitis A outbreak in U.S. history. The public health investigation quickly traced the contamination to raw green onions, scallions, imported from Mexico and used heavily in the restaurant's fresh salsa and queso. The catastrophic public health crisis resulted in 650 confirmed illnesses and 4 tragic deaths, triggering mass panic across the continent and requiring over 9,000 people to receive precautionary immunoglobulin shots. The resulting overwhelming and irreparable negative publicity instantly destroyed consumer confidence in the brand. This led to the immediate closure and complete destruction of the U.S. and Canadian restaurant chain operations, serving as a grim, instantaneous lesson in food safety risk management and corporate liability. Known variously as the Skillet or the Zellers family restaurant, this establishment was the classic department store cafeteria, an indispensable, unpretentious part of the Zellers retail experience, serving as a much-needed oasis for shoppers and often affectionately referred to as Grandma Town due to its older clientele. The Zellers Café embodied affordable, dependable Canadian comfort food, and its immense fame rested on simple, highly affordable, and nostalgic dishes. These included, most notably, the quintessential diner dish, the hot chicken sandwich, slices of processed chicken served open-face on white bread, smothered in thick golden brown gravy, often with a side of mashed potatoes, and generous portions of fries with gravy. The menu was the essence of a reliable, unchallenging diner, including items like the Big Z burger and reliable, low-priced breakfasts. The cafeteria model, with its trays and efficient service line, was perfectly suited to the older demographic and quick family refuels. The closure of the Zellers stores in the early 2000s, a complex and painful process complicated by the failed Target conversion, signaled the end of the beloved diner. However, the emotional attachment to the Skillet's food proved so strong that when the Zellers brand was briefly revived inside select Hudson's Bay stores in 2023, the parent company recognized the powerful demand for nostalgia. In a remarkable move, they launched Zellers Diner food trucks specifically to serve the iconic menu items, like the hot chicken sandwich, demonstrating the powerful status of the Zellers Café as a true Canadian cultural touchstone. Lick's Homeburgers, founded in Toronto in 1980, was a Canadian pioneer in the better burger movement, specializing in the home burger, a thick, fresh, high-quality, made-to-order beef patty, a full generation before chains like Five Guys. The brand established a fierce regional following across Ontario by focusing on freshness and superior preparation in an era dominated by pre-formed, frozen patties. The Lick's difference was a unique, interactive, and entertaining experience defined by 2 memorable characteristics: a self-serve topping bar and singing staff. The legendary self-serve refrigerated topping bar allowed customers to customize their plain grilled burger with everything from simple pickles and onions to unique spreads, making the meal deeply personal and a critical element of brand loyalty. Meanwhile, the employees were famous for breaking into impromptu singing and dancing while working, a spontaneous service quirk that added to the energetic atmosphere and generated significant word-of-mouth advertising. This entire experience was tied together by the brand's signature, sweet, tangy, and savory secret sauce, affectionately known as Gook, a flavor profile fans swore by. Licks proudly built its reputation on the concept of fresh meat ground on site. However, despite its dedicated following, the brand suffered from internal business issues and a fatal decline in quality when it abandoned its core concept of freshness. Under pressure to cut costs and streamline production for wider distribution, the company shifted to using frozen off-site patties. This operational change fundamentally betrayed the Homeburger promise, leading to a noticeable drop in customer loyalty and the erosion of its core identity. Facing competition from global chains who later adopted better burger practices, the company saw a wave of closures in the early 2000s, with the final corporate location closing in 2021, though one independently owned franchise remains in Parry Sound, Ontario. Red Barn, though founded in Ohio in 1961, quickly established a formidable presence in Canada, particularly in southern Ontario, as an early aggressive competitor to McDonald's. Its marketing and appeal hinged on its distinct, memorable architecture. The restaurants were often built to resemble a large, bright red barn with a high-peaked orange roof design, making them easily identifiable roadside attractions. Red Barn was known for its innovative menu, attempting to challenge rivals with unique offerings that often preceded similar items at larger chains. These included the Big Barney, a multi-patty sandwich that notably predated the McDonald's Big Mac by a few years; the Barnbuster, a quarter-pound premium burger positioned against the Burger King Whopper, and successfully competing in the fried chicken market. Furthermore, Red Barn was a fast food pioneer, being one of the first chains to introduce a self-serve salad bar in the quick service space, offering a customizable, healthier option decades before it became a standard. The chain peaked with an impressive 300 to 400 locations across North America and Australia. Its downfall came swiftly in the late 1970s after a new parent corporation acquired the company primarily for the value of its accumulated real estate assets. This new ownership made a fatal business decision. They immediately ceased all national advertising and marketing support and simply allowed the valuable franchise licenses to expire without renewal, prioritizing quick asset monetization over brand development. Without marketing or corporate support, the brand quickly withered on the vine, leading to its total disappearance from the Canadian landscape by the early 1980s. Dunkin' Donuts held an established, dominant presence in Canada, particularly in the Quebec market, operating hundreds of locations throughout the 1980s and early 1990s. Its Canadian experience became the textbook case of a dominant global brand losing catastrophically to a local challenger, a market phenomenon often called the Donut Wars. In the mid-1990s, Tim Hortons mounted an aggressive, calculated expansion. Tim Hortons successfully cultivated a pervasive national Canadian identity and intensely focused on two strategic advantages that Dunkin' failed to match: the highly efficient drive-through model and consistently cornering the low-cost commuter coffee market. Dunkin' failed to adapt to this new standard of convenience. With its legacy shut-down-heavy locations and less aggressive pricing, making it appear foreign and out of touch to Canadian consumers who valued the quick, efficient, local brand. The result was a dramatic plummet in market share. This market failure was so complete that in the 2000s, former Quebec franchisees successfully sued Dunkin' Brands Canada. A judge ruled the franchisor was legally liable for failing to protect and enhance the Dunkin' Donuts brand, a landmark decision that set a high legal standard for franchisor responsibility and ordered the company to pay millions in damages. This devastating financial blow, coupled with plummeting sales, hastened the complete withdrawal, and the company formally completed its full exit from the Canadian restaurant market by 2018. Though an American brand, Howard Johnson's HoJo's holds a strong place in Canadian nostalgia. It was North America's first major national restaurant and motel chain, pioneering standardized quality for road travelers. For generations, its uniform bright orange roofs and the iconic simple Simon and the Pie Man logo were a ubiquitous, trusted sight along major highways. HoJo's built its reputation on variety, with its most famous trademark being 28 flavors of ice cream, a revolutionary selection at the time. Its extensive menu featured classic American comfort food like its signature fried clams. This vast menu was managed through a massive centralized commissary system designed to ensure consistency across hundreds of locations. However, HoJo's decline was a classic case of a venerable giant being eclipsed by new focused competitors. The restaurants were too slow and costly compared to hyper-efficient fast food joints like McDonald's, and the motels were outclassed by chains like Holiday Inn. The sheer scale and complexity of the centralized commissary system with its large menu ultimately made food quality inconsistent and service slow, eroding customer loyalty. Following its sale in 1979, the classic restaurant chain steadily vanished throughout the 1980s and 1990s, symbolizing the end of the post-war roadside dining golden age. Richtree Market, originally known as Mövenpick Marché in Canada, was a fascinating anomaly among fast food chains. A sophisticated, European-style food hall experience that prioritized gourmet freshness and atmosphere over speed and standardization, acting as a clear precursor to today's upscale open kitchen dining. The core concept was highly interactive and unique, offering a genuinely theatrical dining experience where customers, upon entry, would receive a card to purchase items from various manned, elaborate market stalls. These stations included areas for fresh-pressed juices, custom-made stir-fry, and pasta dishes, artisan bakeries, and rotisseries, all prepared by visible chefs. The food was always prepared à la minute, cooked live in front of the customer. This focus on freshness, high-touch service, and theatrical preparation, while novel, made the operational model high-cost and slow compared to efficient competitors. Ultimately, while it offered a superior quality experience, its high price point and the novelty of the complex card-based transaction system did not translate into the sustained, high-volume business needed for major North American market success. It was a victim of its own sophistication, unable to compete with the speed and low cost of efficient mass-market casual dining chains that dominated the late 1990s and 2000s, leading to its disappearance from most major metropolitan centers. Mother's Pizza Parlor and Spaghetti House wasn't just a restaurant, it was the very definition of 1970s and 80s family fun dining. Launched in Hamilton, Ontario in 1970, the chain was built on the innovative premise that pizza night should be an event, quickly growing to over 100 locations across Canada, the U.S., and the U.K. The entire experience was meticulously crafted with a cozy Victorian parlor style, including thick red and white checkered tablecloths, ornate Tiffany-style lamps, and in many locations, a loud working player piano that enhanced the theatrical, eccentric feel. This high-touch, theme-heavy environment made their dining rooms perfect for noisy birthday parties and multi-generational dinners, successfully capitalizing on the Canadian consumer's desire for casual dining that felt like a local institution. The menu was simple, but executed perfectly, famous for its thin crust pizza featuring a distinctive buttery garlic crust, the single most missed item among nostalgic fans. Alongside pizza, they served enormous, affordable portions of spaghetti and meatballs, and their signature root beer floats were served in collectible flare glasses. The brand's wholesome image was reinforced by its memorable celebrity spokesperson, actor Dennis Weaver. The decline began in the late 1980s due to inconsistent management after multiple corporate sales and accumulating franchising issues. Crucially, the chain was unable to adapt to the burgeoning takeout and delivery market dominated by rivals. The fatal combination of stiff competition and internal turmoil led to its collapse and sale to Little Caesars in 1989, a company focused purely on takeout, which immediately began converting or liquidating the iconic dining rooms. A deeply nostalgic attempt to resurrect the chain in 2013, meticulously recreating the crust and decor, ultimately failed, confirming its status as a closed chapter in Canadian food history. These defunct chains represent a pre-globalized era where dining was an event built on unique comfort food and family experience. Their decline, driven by giants like Tim Hortons and McDonald's, reveals how the fast food landscape was sanitized. If these stories brought back a taste of your childhood, hit that subscribe button so we can keep diving into the history you never knew you missed.